They told you that love was soft, that it was gentle, that love meant acceptance at all costs. But that wasn't love. That was comfort masquerading as care. Because real love, the kind that transforms, the kind that builds kings and queens out of broken clay, real love is forged in discipline. Discipline is love in action, not just for others, for yourself. And if you can't love yourself enough to demand more from yourself, to say no when the world says yes, to do the hard thing when your feelings beg you to fold, then you have not yet tasted the real substance of love. Because love isn't about ease. It's about elevation. Look at the father who sets rules for his child, who demands their best, who refuses to let them drift into mediocrity. He is not cruel. He is loving with fire in his hands. He knows that if he doesn't discipline them, the world will destroy them. That if he doesn't teach them boundaries, the world will hand them a cage. That if he doesn't instill in them structure, the world will bury them in chaos. Jordan Peterson said it clearly. You are not doing your child a favor by letting them run wild. And you are not doing yourself a favor by letting your potential run wild either. You want to become something? You want to feel whole? Then start by becoming worthy of your own respect. That begins with self-governance. It begins with telling yourself the truth. Because without truth, there is no growth. And without discipline, there is no freedom. You think freedom is doing whatever you want? That's not freedom. That's enslavement to impulse. That's chaos in disguise. The drug addict has no rules. The gambler has no structure. The undisciplined mind is not free. It is in bondage to the moment. But the disciplined one, they are free, because they have earned their power. They are not pulled by every emotion. They are led by vision. And vision requires a backbone. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is alignment. Alignment with your higher self, your future self, your purpose, your mission. Think of the monk in the temple, the soldier in training, the scientist in the lab, the artist before dawn. They are not chained. They are choosing. They are choosing to sacrifice the easy path for the elevated one. Not because it's glamorous, because it's right. Every ounce of greatness ever carved into the human story was built on discipline. Edison didn't stumble into the light bulb. He failed 1,000 times and showed up again. Carnegie didn't inherit peace of mind. He earned it through structured thought, decisive action, and the habit of personal excellence. Jordan Peterson didn't write 12 Rules for Life because he had nothing else to do. He wrote it to save people from themselves. Because deep inside every one of us is the craving for order, for meaning, for structure. And discipline is how you build the container that holds your greatness. So if you say you love yourself, ask yourself this: what have I done today to prove it? Not in words, in actions. Did you get up when you said you would? Did you do what you promised yourself you would? Did you turn down the temptation that wants your soul cheap? Did you delay the comfort that would steal your crown? Love says yes to your future. Discipline enforces that yes. And if you ever want to feel proud, not just in a fleeting moment, but in your bones, you must earn it. Not by accident, but by discipline. You don't raise your standard once. You raise it daily. You recommit daily. You wake up in war and fight for peace through purpose. And the reward? Clarity, confidence, calm, power. Not the kind of power that dominates others. The kind that dominates yourself. And when you master yourself, you become a force the world cannot ignore. This is why the disciplined life is the most loving life. Because it respects the divine potential within you. You are not here to wander blindly. You are here to walk boldly. So walk, build, suffer if you must, but suffer with a crown. Get up when it's hard. Speak truth when it's easier to stay silent. Hold the line when others bend, because that's love. Discipline equals love. Love for your future. Love for your mind. Love for your legacy. So don't just talk about love. Live it. Live it through every disciplined decision you make, and you will become unstoppable. But here's what they won't tell you. Discipline doesn't always look noble in the moment. It often looks like isolation, like sacrifice, like being misunderstood, like eating dinner alone while your friends celebrate things that don't move them forward. Discipline doesn't win applause. It wins alignment. You'll question yourself. You'll be tempted to fall back into comfort, into the arms of mediocrity dressed as peace. But mediocrity never brings peace, only regret. Remember this, lions are not raised in crowds. They're forged in silence, in struggle, in storms that rip through the old self to reveal the new. Discipline is not a chain, it is a chisel. It breaks away what is weak so what is eternal can emerge. And yes, you will fall. You will miss the mark. You will get tired. But the point is not to be perfect. The point is to return. Return to the path. Return to the standard. Return to the self you are building every single time. That is love. Fierce, unshakable, relentless love. The world needs more of it. So keep rising. Keep refining. Keep becoming. Let discipline be your devotion. Let it tell the story of a soul that chose love through structure. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. Because to rise each day with purpose is a sacred act. To master your impulses is a form of worship. To choose order over chaos is to declare yourself responsible for your life. And responsibility, true responsibility, is not a burden. It is the beginning of power. That's why the ones who carry the heaviest loads are the strongest. That's why the man who builds discipline brick by brick doesn't just survive. He builds an empire, starting with himself. So you ask, where does greatness come from? It comes from the mornings you didn't want to wake up, from the days you didn't feel like trying, from the nights you laid your head down with no applause, no reward, only the quiet satisfaction of knowing you stayed loyal to your path. And slowly those days stack, like stone on stone, invisible at first but then undeniable, until one day, the world sees what you've built, and they call it success. But you'll know better. You'll know it wasn't luck. It was love. Discipline is love. And the one who embraces it becomes unstoppable. The man who lifts more than he is required to. The woman who carries more than she is thanked for. The student who studies longer than he is praised. The parent who sacrifices without applause. The leader who chooses integrity over convenience. They all have one thing in common. They love something deeply, and their discipline proves it. So choose your mountain. Climb it with reverence. Climb it with discipline. Climb it with love. And watch what you become when you stop chasing comfort and start honoring your highest self. The world will try to distract you, to seduce you with shortcuts, to laugh at your standards. But the world does not define you. Your discipline does. When you choose discipline, you become your own sculptor. Every decision becomes a strike of the chisel. Every habit, a groove in the marble. Until what stands is no longer a rough, undefined figure, but a masterpiece of intention, of effort, of perseverance. That is what you are capable of. That is what you are called to be more, to become whole, not through indulgence, but through refinement, not through applause, but through integrity. So look in the mirror, and don't ask if you're loved. Ask if you are loving yourself in the way that matters most. Ask if your actions reflect devotion to the life you claim to want. Ask if your feet are on the path, even when it hurts. Because in the end, your habits become your identity. Your structure becomes your sanctuary. and your discipline becomes your declaration. You will not bow to chaos. You will not trade your birthright for pleasure. You will not hand your destiny to luck. You will take hold. You will rise. You will walk the narrow road, not because it is easy, but because it is yours, and because you are worthy of the greatness that waits at the summit. Discipline is love, and love is the ultimate transformation. So transform. So transform. And as you transform, you become an anchor in a stormy world. You become the proof that it's possible to rise above distraction, indulgence, weakness, and decay. You become a living example that order, not chaos, builds nations. That self-mastery, not excuses, builds legacies. But you must endure. You must outlast the season of doubt. You must sit with the silence when no one claps. You must remain loyal to your vision when it feels like the world has turned its back. Because the world is watching, not with fanfare, but with quiet observation, waiting to see if your words mean anything, waiting to see if your standards are skin deep or soul deep. This is where most quit. This is where the weak break. This is where the undisciplined retreat. But not you. You didn't come this far to crawl. You were not born to settle. You came to set fire to the lie that mediocrity is enough. You came to wage war on laziness. You came to conquer the false promise of the easy path. And what you will find is that as you endure, the suffering becomes sacred. The hardship becomes holy. The pain becomes proof. Proof that you are not here for games. You are here for greatness. And greatness does not hand itself to the half-hearted. It bows only to the relentless, the disciplined, the devoted, the man who builds himself in the dark, the woman who sharpens her soul when no one sees. These are the giants, the silent heroes, the warriors of order in a culture of collapse. So take heart. If it hurts, it's working. If it's lonely, it's sacred. If it's heavy, it's because what you're building can carry generations. This is the cost, and this is the reward. Because one day, when the world asks how you did it, you will not say luck. You will not say talent. You will say, I loved myself enough to demand more. I loved my future enough to suffer for it. I loved my mission enough to never stop. Discipline was my offering, and love was my reward. So build, rise, burn, ascend. The road is narrow, but it is yours. Walk it with discipline. Walk it with fire. Walk it with love. And leave behind not just success, but significance. Not just applause, but alignment. Not just a name, but a legacy. Discipline is not just the rule. It is the revolution. It is the answer to every lost soul seeking purpose. It is the remedy to every drifting life. It is the rebirth of a civilization that forgot how to kneel before order. So rise, not just for yourself. Rise for everyone who's watching you. Rise for those who will come after. Rise because the world doesn't need another echo. It needs an example. You are that example. Not someday. Not when it's easier. Now. Right now. Because this moment is your test. This breath is your beginning. This decision is your declaration. You are not your past. You are not your failure. You are not your delay. You are what you commit to in this very instant. So commit. With fire. With discipline. With love. And when the world asks what saved you, tell them the truth. Discipline was my love. And love made me unstoppable. Now go prove it. And when you wake up tomorrow, before the sun, before the noise, before the world even knows you're alive, remember, you've already chosen. Chosen to be uncommon. Chosen to be relentless. Chosen to let your actions echo louder than your intentions. Because discipline isn't a one-time choice. It's not something you find. It's something you return to. Every single day. You return to the grind, to the routine, to the cold floor beneath your feet, to the workout when you're tired, to the reading when you're bored, to the vision when the path seems long. And in that returning you find yourself. Not the version shaped by opinion, not the image fed by society, but the forged self, the true self, the self that doesn't need permission, the self that doesn't shrink, the self that commands its future through conviction. There's a reason the ancients bowed before discipline, why the Stoics held it higher than gold, why warriors carved it into their very rituals. Because discipline is how we meet the divine within us. It is how mortals reach beyond their limitation. And you, yes, you are designed for that reach. You're not too broken. You're not too late. You're not too far gone. You are right on time. If you move now. So let the fire rage. Let the voice inside you grow louder than the voices around you. Let your actions speak so clearly that doubt has no oxygen. Because when you act with discipline, you become rare. When you persist with love, you become eternal. And isn't that what you want? Not just to win for a moment, but to matter forever. To build something so powerful, so rooted in truth, that even when you're gone, it still stands. That is the gift of discipline. That is the mark of love. And that is the life that awaits the bold. So don't wait for another sign. This is it. This is the call. This is the line in the sand. The version of you that's undisciplined, let it die here. The version of you that plays small, let it be buried now. Because the you who is rising, the you who is storm and steel and sacred silence, has work to do. The world is heavy, but so are you. Heavy with destiny, heavy with fire, heavy with the kind of greatness that refuses to be average. So carry it, like the warrior you are, with grace, with strength, with love that's disciplined enough to finish the race. This is your hour. Own it.